Good morning, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So last night it was full council. I know I've not put the decks up yet, just the tree. Very peculiar. I put forward a motion asking that we have an open and honest consultation with local residents on the access road for the East Lancs, and the houses they want to reduce the width of that little road and put an extra road on the East Lancs. And I'm sure he was just following orders, although he's in the cabinet, so I assume he writes those orders now. But Councillor Paul Prescott, who used to be a really nice person, stood up and said that because I was asking for an open and honest consultation, I was bringing the council into disrepute. So every Labour councillor voted against an open and honest consultation. Now, there's at least two groups watching this, right? There's at least two groups, so there'll be one group that just stumbled across this and look at it and go, wow, that doesn't sound good, does it? There'll be a group that will support the Labour Party and will say, yeah, but you are bringing the council into disrepute by asking for an open and honest consultation. No, it's a democracy, and what you should have done was stood up and say, yeah, of course we're going to give you an open and honest consultation. That's the reply. If you want to beat me in an argument that you think I'm trying to have with you, and I assume you think I'm trying to have an argument with you, I'm not, but if you think I'm trying to have an argument with you, the best way to beat it will be to because this is what I would say, right? If I was in the majority and a Labour councillor stood up and said, will you please give an open and honest consultation, I'd turn around and go, yeah, obviously. What was you expecting us to do? You lunatic. But not them. They think I'm trying to bring the council into disrepute. And there'll be the people that are aware of what's going on, and they will say to themselves, why would every Labour councillor just follow orders, I assume by Paul Prescott and the leader and the deputy leader, and refuse and vote against an open and honest consultation? That doesn't make any sense. So for those people who just stumbled across, and those peoples that are involved, and I assume maybe some Labour activists would be prepared to listen to a different version of events. I'm not bringing the council into disrepute. Manchester, Andy Burnham, Manchester, the mayor's office and staff and people, I'm not saying Andy Burnham was directly involved. He should have been, because he just lives 5 minutes away from the junction. But Manchester mayorality, shall we say, put forward these alterations, and nobody from Wigan Council had any input into it. They just went, this is what we've been given. So there was no consultation with us, because it came straight from Manchester, which is Labour. It's not Conservative, right? It's run by the Labour Party. Now, I know that by saying that, you're going to say he's politicising it, but apparently it's already been politicised by every Labour councillor just following orders and voting against an open and honest consultation. So there was no consultation. Yes, there was a consultation run by the council, as there always is, and they asked a few questions from people that, as all consultations are, if you choose to fill it in, you'll go, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Because putting an extra lane on the East Lancs, if you've ever driven on the East Lancs, doesn't sound like a bad idea, does it? You drive down the East Lancs and you go, the Labour Party have just removed a lane to turn it into a bus lane. I preferred it with 2 lanes. Which is interesting because they've taken a bus lane away, in Manchester to make it a bus lane, which has made the congestion horrific. But here they've added a lane. And both of those things are mutually exclusive, apparently. Anyway. But if you said to those people, yeah, adding a lane may help with congestion, but it will endanger lives. Mother, Councillor Kath and Marie, yesterday morning, were out on the access road, and in the space of 1 hour, 15 cars illegally some of them came screaming down the access road to try and beat the lights. The access road isn't being removed, it is being reduced in width, which means that those cars are still going to come flying round to try and beat the lights. It's just going to have less space for them to do it in. And had Manchester actually consulted with the local residents and us as councillors beforehand, had the local council stood up and done its job and defended us as local residents beforehand, this would have never got to the point where they just decided to throw it on us. And because, and I assume you don't know, but a few years ago, we put forward a motion asking that the Cabinet stop deferring all its responsibility for votes to put things through, to stop deferring them to officers, right? Because part of my job as an elected ward member is to make decisions. And if I say to the officer, no, you make the decision, that's not his role or her role. An officer's role is to anything that's any way, shape or form contentious, is to bring it to the elected body so they can make a decision. That's how our form of democracy works. So running away from that means you're scared. It does, and it means you haven't got the guts to make your own decisions, which means you shouldn't be a councillor. Some of the decisions that I've had to make are horrendous. They are. I sit on licensing and regulation, and sometimes we take people's license away so they can't drive a taxi anymore and they can't, feed the family. But for your safety, that decision is made. But that's part of the role of a councillor. And if you're not prepared to make decisions like that, stay out of politics. Stay out of politics. So, they said that they were going to knock on everybody's door in the area and make sure that the scheme is safe before they implement it, which is good news. I think they have to say that, because if they don't say that, it's going to work out really poorly when they have to, I suspect, but nothing would surprise me about this council. I suspect that they're going to have to withdraw the scheme. And I did ask last night that there are schemes that the local residents are in favour of, but the council have rejected. It's very unfortunate that the Labour Party decided to do this. It's very unfortunate. As I said, the perfect comeback to my motion was, of course it's going to be a fair and open consultation. But they chose to politicise it. But that's always been my problem. I've never been able to understand and accept that the council, the Labour-led council, is political. It is, even though I know it is. The last chief exec, I've never spoke to the new chief exec. She's never bothered to say hello. I mean, I assume she doesn't like me. Fair enough, you can't like everybody. But the last one, I always used to say to her, I appreciate the position that you're in. Because I do. Or I did. I appreciated and I appreciate the position that this one is in. If she doesn't do what Labour wants, she's out. I know that, they know that, she knows that. Funny thing is, since I've been elected in 2006, we've always had female chief execs. The most powerful, non-political person in the council has been a woman since before 2006. Something about a glass ceiling there. And then there was a motion put up by the independents that I seconded that was asking the council to do something about the black mould and the repair work to properties. And Labour just said, no, we're taking that back to... They didn't want to debate it. They wanted to remove it so that they couldn't be embarrassed by what's happened. And it is, I think it's the deputy leader's ward, and obviously he would have been humiliated. I mean, if you come to me and say, there's a problem with this property, I'll go and do my best to get it fixed. I don't think it's the same with some councillors. I know that some councillors don't answer their emails. I mean, I've got the emails on the phones. It sits there. If you can hear that. And when an email comes in, I answer it. And I do that all day up until the emails stop coming in. I don't mind it's there. You know, but not every council does that. But I'm not going into a Labour ward and dealing with the housing crisis, frankly, that there is on Highfolds Estate, because I have some problem with Freddie Walker. I mean, I don't know Fred Walker. I don't think I know any of the three councillors whose ward that is. I'm not trying to make them look bad. I'm genuinely trying to get repairs done. And the independents are genuinely trying to get repairs done, which is why they've asked me to intervene. But in doing that, it makes the Labour Party look bad. And it should do, because they're not doing their jobs. So what they do is, instead of turning around years ago and saying we better deal with this mould and inability to fix our properties, they've ignored it. You've got council officers telling residents that we don't deal with damp and mould. Turns out that we do. In fact, it was only last week that a resident was told that the council doesn't deal with damp and mould in council properties. Yes, it does. Because Labour just said last night that they were already investigating all this damp and mould and disrepair. Do you understand? Just after that tiny section of this video, do you understand what's going on? the incompetence of some officers, because some officers are amazing, and if I had a couple of hundred of them cloned, there don't be many problems in Wigan. It's I'll tell you, I'll tell you. I appreciate that you don't care to know. I get that, but Gary and Mike from Lowton East have just been out. This is yesterday, I assume, yesterday morning, picking up litter around the back of shops on Oaklands Road. A resident sent me this. Council staff clean at the back of there every day, but you don't know that. I didn't know that because I don't live there. I just know that every time I go past there, it's fairly clean and it's fairly tidy. But you wouldn't know that. So you would look at that and you'd say, well, aren't they doing a great job? The Labour-led council are employed by you with your council tax to make sure that the streets are kept clean. We shouldn't have to go out and do litter picks. The fact that we go out and do litter picks is because the council are so pointless. That's one of many things. I've got to go. I think my brother needs me. See you all later.